So I think Thami and I have already introduced ourselves, so I'll give over to Eldene to just give us a brief introduction of herself, her role, and who she's representing today before we jump into our panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Yonela, and thank you for the invite. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm Eldene Govender. I'm the fund manager of one of 4 funds within the National Empowerment Fund. So I'm fortunate to be the fund manager of the Imbewu Fund because we focus on SMME finance. And maybe just to highlight, because it's not a lot, we've got only 3 products that we offer. And I just want to quickly run you through it because it's easy to remember. So we've got a product called Franchise Finance, and it's in line with your theme for the workshop. Whereby, and as the name implies, we provide funding to entrepreneurs who want to venture into franchising, whether they want to start up, expand, or acquire a franchise business. We provide funding from 250,000 up to 15 million within the fund. But that limitation is not cast in stone. Okay. If you approach us and you want to acquire a big group of KFCs and you require over 30 million, we can still assist you. That's franchising. Then we have a product called Contract Finance, whereby we provide funding to entrepreneurs who need working capital or asset finance to start executing their orders or contracts. And we have a product called Entrepreneurship Finance, where we fund entrepreneurs across all sectors of the economy, except, of course, the sin industry. Anything to do with tobacco and your previous employer, the retail of alcohol, as well as anything to do with gambling and ammunition or considered immoral, are those sectors that we do not invest in. That is what that's the type of applications that we assess on a daily basis, just to give you a sense. Thanks.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Eldene. Okay, so we're just going to have a conversation around the access to funding and some of the challenges that we see coming through in terms of SMMEs accessing funding. So I'll start with you, Eldene, maybe a follow-up from the offering that you guys are providing. What are some of those critical factors that the NEF looks at when deciding to fund SMMEs in the sector?
Okay. So there's a number of factors, and I was fortunate to be here from early this morning. I listened to yourself, Yonela, I listened to Thami. You've given quite detailed assessment criteria from Siyakha Trust's point of view and Absa. Yeah. And those are pretty much similar to what we assess at the NEF, because at the end of the day, when you're running a business and your projections are unrealistic, Absa will pick it up, Siyakha Trust will pick it up, the NEF will pick it up. So first and foremost, what's important to the NEF is to prove the commercial viability of the business that you want to venture into, because affordability or the repayment ability of the business is key to the NEF. And I'll tell you why. You might think, oh, but you're a development finance institution, you're part of government, we're an agency of the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, by the way. So people come to us and with the expectation that we can assist everyone. But unfortunately, we have to also remain sustainable as an organization. So we have to apply conservative assessment criteria. If you come to us and you want to open a Sasol service station and you want to buy the land as well, what we will base our projections on is the traffic study or feasibility study that was conducted by the oil major to determine whether the business as a whole will be able to repay the loan that you're applying for. And we are guided by the cash flows to then determine whether a own contribution is required or the unencumbered cash, which Thami explained earlier on. So luckily you've done the workshopping, so you have to explain.
Yes.
So In some instances, we funded up to 95% of
Okay.
the loans that are required to start businesses. Acquisition price, so I touched on commercial viability. The acquisition price is very important, and many applications were unsuccessful because entrepreneurs don't understand the valuation methodologies that are applied in the sector. If you buy a service station, you need to understand which valuation methodology should be applied so that you don't overpay for the site. Because if you overpay, your loan repayments are going to be too high for the cash flows of the site to afford the loan. Already you're starting off wrong. So you need to negotiate a fair price up front. And in general, because we're in the SMME space, the valuation methodology that we usually apply is a multiple, EBITDA multiple, a monthly EBITDA multiple of 36, or they call it a price earnings multiple of 3. And just to make it simple, you basically look at the business's financial statements for the year. You look at the net profit that the business achieved for the year. This is for any franchise, just to do a sanity check. And you multiply that profit by 3 to see whether, and there's other valuation methodologies that you can also apply, but that's just a rule of thumb, just to see if the price is far out or is it at least within range. So that's one of the reasons why some applications are not successful, or the challenges. So it's the purchase price as well. I touched on commercial viability. As the NEF, because we're a developmental finance institution, job creation is key for us. We all know that the unemployment rate in South Africa increased. It's over 30%. We're trying to make an impact and assist government to create more jobs. If you're going to apply to the NEF and we're funding a business, say you want 15 million, but you're the only employee in the business, it's really not going to make sense for us, because we can rather support another entrepreneur who's going to create 500 jobs. So developmental impact is important to us. And we just finished with Women's Month in August. Women empowerment is very key and crucial to the NEF. Government is taking it so seriously that they've given us a 35% target, meaning that of all the deals we approve, 35% of the transactions must go to women.
Oh,
so we're not discriminating against the men, but if there is an opportunity to give a shareholding to women that have the expertise in your business, empower that woman. Even if you give her 30-40% shares, it's also a way, a retention strategy. So that's what we're trying to promote within the NEF. And then another key element that we were requested to look into as an organization is to invest in the underdeveloped provinces, or the smaller provinces within the country. If you just ignore Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal and the Western Cape, all the other smaller provinces, Free State, Northern Cape, Limpopo, etc., that is where economic activity is not at the desired levels and where government wants to stimulate the economy. So we're not going to decline the application because you're based in Gauteng, but we were also given a target of 40% by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition to say 40% of the NEF's investment must go into those provinces. But the jockey, well, it's a long list, I don't know. We need a full day. If you have to look at our assessment criteria, we really want to ensure that, the business is going to be a success. We are backing the right entrepreneur, and earlier on we were talking about going into a trade where you have passion and where you can really drive your sales. At the end of the day, it's about the top line. If you don't have customers, if you can't sell, if you don't know how to secure customers as an entrepreneur and you are shy to sell your product, then you're not in the right space. So we do a proper entrepreneurial assessment to make sure we are backing the right
Jockey. All
at
right.
the end of the day. So yeah, there's
Yes.
more.
No,
but
thank you. Thank you so much, Eldene.
All right.
I do take note that it is the big weekend and some people are getting married and some people's boyfriends are getting married. So we just need to make sure that we get out of here by 1 o'clock. But I think a question for you, Thami. And I think you spoke about collateral and own contribution, etc. I mean, that has been flagged as one of the top hindrances of inclusion, especially for SMMEs, especially for Black-owned SMMEs. So what is the bank doing about that, especially for people that are sitting in this room that have never run businesses, and this would be their first time, and they just have 10 Rand in the bank?
Just make sure the 10 Rand is in the Absa account. For starters. Cool. So I think what you've tried to do, for you, fortunate you've got targets, but for us, I mean, it's about the stories, it's about empowerment and just making sure that other people are just making more money. So for us, it's more the empowerment part of it, and hence, I'll talk rough on the commercial part of it, but we always make sure wherever we go, we've got our ED team coming in, and for us to get the corporates in, I talked about the tripartite kind of agreement. When you look at blue chips like Sasol, it's looking at ways, how do we make sure we've got blended finance, and that's more the funding part of it. Remember, for us, we use the depositors' money, so those 10 rands, we use them to fund someone else, then they must get their return, and vice versa. But blended finance for us, where we've seen it work, I mean, you'll get the loan, you'll get the grant, you'll get a guarantee, and over and above that, apart from the things that you can touch, the non-financial support,
yes.
that's very important to help you how to prepare your finances, how you market your business and stuff. So blended finance, it's very important. Coming for collateral again, depending on which business you're talking about. Some of the businesses, a filling station is a specialized kind of business. So tomorrow you cannot change it to something else. It's a filling station. So the market, I think we are sitting at about 4,700 filling stations. So there's always a demand for that. So the value of the business or the brand of the business, that also adds as a collateral. For us, the jockey, the horse that we are betting on. So we always look at blended finance. Numbers must make sense, must stack up, and we'll be able to push the envelope to make sure that you get the loan and repayability. Remember, for us, you need to stay in business, and it's very important for us. I don't have capacity to be chasing around someone. We are in a business of money. You are in a business of selling a liquid called fuel. So it's very important that we work hand in hand with the companies like Sasol, NEF, CIFA. We've got those relationships where when I get a deal, and I've said with deal makers, like, what do we do now? There's no collateral. We've asked you, you've given us your grandmother's house, you've given us everything. We'll go to CIFA. But leave your grandmother. But then those are things that we look at.
Yes, okay, fantastic. So I think as much as you're saying, yes, we are all about the money, but there is a element of development even at the commercial banks, which is really great to see. Open question to both of you. What do you believe is the future of funding for SMEs in the fuel retail industry, especially with the global shift towards renewable energy?
It's still Women's Month, eh?
Yes, well,
it's
September,
heritage.
but we can extend it.
Can be Women's Year.
Yeah, it's always a year, but you can go first.
Okay. I think there's still a very good future for retail of fuel in South Africa. And the reason why I'm saying that, especially in the short to medium term, not long term, I wish I had a crystal ball to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But with the introduction of electric vehicles, sorry, and I know you're asking about renewable energy challenges as well. But with the introduction of the electric vehicle, what we've seen is that there's a slow uptake in the country. And we do still have some time to really remodel what the forecourts and the sites will look like, and the profit margins once you have the charging stations at the forecourts. But in terms of renewable energy, yes, there is challenges, but there's also many entities that are offering solutions, including the NEF, to the challenges. We've got Alternative Energy Fund. We partnered with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, whereby we provide concessionary funding to entrepreneurs who are interested in renewable energy solutions. The interest rate is about 2% per annum,
Okay.
which is affordable. So those are the type of solutions that we are trying to offer to our entrepreneurs. So when you apply for funding, even if you don't apply for the renewable energy solutions, we will always do an assessment to see if you require any type of solution in your particular business and offer the product.
Okay. Fantastic.
So from our side, I think renewable energy, it's a big focus, because everything you do, you need to make sure that you live, it's those nice Sunday words, you live the world better than how you found it. Yeah. So in the fuel industry, what we've seen, it's the new models that are coming in. There's allocation for electric vehicles. So it's coming. However, in South Africa, to what you said, in the medium to long term, it's not going to be that fast-tracked. And there are various things that are happening there. One, the cost of the electric vehicles. It's not accessible to your normal people like me. It's very expensive. So it takes time. Also, what we are producing, I know BMW will be doing all the extras from South Africa, all electric vehicle. They are changing the whole manufacturing to make sure that from renewable energy, it's compliant. So there is funding when you own the building, like when you say you'll own the filling station, you've done the finance, you can do that as mortgage backed. We look at there are a couple of things that we look at, send the email, the geocode. We've got a team that'll know where your site is at, and they'll be able to do the code. They'll look at your electricity. The aim there is not to sell you the solars, but then to make sure that there is a savings for you.
Yeah.
So if those two things, it's not going to add up, obviously we'll not do the deal. For us, we must show that there'll be a savings, there'll be repairability on those things. Then we typically, the biggest things that is been selling now, it's your solar PVs and stuff, but then there are other forms of renewable energies that we are looking at. We are seeing some filling stations, even their water, they're looking at renewable. We are looking at how they install the electricities. So we are looking at all those things as a component, and we've got a team that is looking at that. And the filling stations, fuel is no longer going to be the key commodity, but then the retail part of the business. So we are going to have those bigger retail, more offering, and you'll also look at how the space is going to grow, because it's a one-stop. It must be that when I go home, I must be able to get everything, and it's a mixture of. I hope you've put it in your research. Nah? Yes, people, yeah. So renewable energy, it's key in everything that we are doing. You see now we do QR codes. Business cards are moving away. For fuel, the risk is very high to say, but then you are destroying the economy, you are destroying the environment. How do you make it easier? Therefore, financial institutions are also starting to look at those kind of businesses that we need to fund that will be that are environmental friendly. So it's very important that we do that. Yesterday they talked about environmental studies. We are taking serious notice into those things when you fund the filling stations. Are they proper? Is it copy and paste? How are we going to go back and check? Will Sasol give us confirmation that the tanks are still in order? If there's leakage, how do we look at those things? So various things happening. Electric vehicle, it's coming. The prices are still up, but then also our infrastructure won't be able to accommodate that. From automotive point of view, South Africa, we still produce at least below 1% of global vehicles. We want to reach the 1%. The whole of Africa, there's an opportunity for South African automotive to still supply to them, but then we need to sort out the Durban and the ports to make sure that we are able to deliver there. So various things happening at the same time. Yeah.
All right, so all I hear is opportunities, right? So I hope you guys
maybe
are
just
listening.
into that. When you look at Sasol, they are not only selling fuel, there are all other things that are happening. So it's about how you tap into those opportunities
Yes.
within the value chain.
Yeah, and I really do believe you in this whole research around that the C-store is doing much better than the garage, because I don't stay too far from the new Mark 5 on Banbury Road, and I am going to change now my fuel station to go there because it looks so pretty, So,
Fuel
yeah.
is pretty.
Okay, so I think just to close off our panel discussion, I think practical advice that we can give the people in this room that want to secure funding in the future for anything in the value chain in terms of the sector that we are talking to. What is that practical advice that we can give them that they can walk out today before their boyfriends get married?
Okay. First practical advice, call your boyfriend, go with them wherever they're going. Be nice, call their mom, be nice to their sisters-in-law and stuff. But for us, I think, understand your numbers. The fuel finances, they've got a structure. There's a way that they are looking at. When you're going to buy that business, obviously you'll see the financials, but have an eye to strip out some of the things. I know there are people who've got creative accounting where you put everything through the business, then the value looks funny.
Yeah.
And we are aware there are books for us, there's books for SARS, there's book for everyone else, but understand your numbers. If you're going to get a consultant, understand your numbers, understand your margins. Be the heartbeat of your business. So cash flows before everything. Understand your cash flow cycles. When you're getting high volumes, you must be there. How much are you dropping every minute? How much are you spending in even making the burger? There are 40,000 liters. If Sasol said they dropped 40,000, are you sure they've dropped the 40,000? How many 2 days stock cover? Do you understand how that's going to work? Holidays are coming in. Understand that seasonality, your cash cycle, and your cash flow. Cash flow, it is important. You see 2 million in your account, it's not your money. Your money is that 32 cents, remember. So after 2 million and 32 cents, you can take the 32 cents. But you must divide it up with the guys. But understand your numbers. Banks, look at the numbers. Whether your company is return funder, Merve, franchising, I look at numbers.
Okay.
It's very important there.
Thanks for touching on the numbers, Thami. My practical advice will be do your research, do your due diligence, understand what you're getting yourself into. And I'm not just talking about franchises, about any business opportunity that you want to pursue. So when it comes to franchises, when you choose a brand, understand how that brand performed, especially over the past 5 years. Look at the franchisor's financial statements. It will tell you a story. If you can see that a franchisor is struggling in terms of the profit that they are generating, well, they have the capacity to support you. It's important to consider strong brands with good brand recognition, brands that have a good track record. You need to you talk to other franchisees.
Yes.
In fact, it will reveal so much to you. And I think, Thami, you went through it early on, how you assess the franchisors. We have the same process at the NEF. And what we've realized is that people really don't take the time to do the research. So my advice will be, do your homework before you decide to venture into any business. And then maybe just quickly, I'm sorry, I know I'm taking a lot of time.
No worries.
But I will encourage everyone to visit the NEF's website. I didn't do a presentation, but I would really just like to give you the details. It's www.nefcorp.co.za. You will find details on the other funds and all our other products. We've got a business plan, a tool that can assist entrepreneurs to compile a business plan. I know to some entrepreneurs it's overwhelming to compile a business plan. So what we try to do, we try to make it simple. You click on the business plan, a tool function, and then it will ask you questions. You will just provide short answers, and it will go to the next question, etc. And at the end of the process, the system would have generated a business plan for you, which you can edit, and you can then send that business plan even to Absa or any commercial bank or any institution.
Look at that.
That's our pre-investment support.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think just the last one from my side, funding terms can be very confusing. You don't know what it means. Leverage AI, guys. ChatGPT is there. Just type it there. Say, please explain to me. If they haven't explained it properly, please explain again. It will. You will get it, because if you don't understand your finances, then we have a problem.
But please, once you use the AI, make sure you read it, because I'm going to ask a question then. We only have time for it.
Well, you have to read it, yes.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Thami and Eldene. I hope you guys really enjoyed. We are, I think, going on break, and we will have a Q&A session covering both the presentations and the panel discussion. So Thami and Eldene will be back on stage later. Thank you.
Good.